Hey, what's good, Econ fam? Mr. DeWitt back with another EU instructional strategies breakdown. Today we'll be discussing incentives. Econ is supposed to be hard? Why let it be hard? Follow me. Let's get it. All right, so the very first thing we have to discuss regarding incentives is the actual definition of an incentive. An incentive is a reason to discourage us to do something or to encourage us to do something, right? That's the first thing. Second thing is that incentives can be both positive or negative. And the third and final item that you absolutely have to know regarding incentives is that incentives are predictable. We are going to know the outcome. We can predict it because, well, I'll save that for later. I'll give you. All right, so a personal example of an incentive is the reason that I make these videos. What's the incentive? What's in it for me? Well, the hope is that my students watch the videos, they better understand the concepts that I provide for them in the videos, and ultimately they wind up doing better on the test because they know this information, right? That's the intent. Also, I make these videos for other teachers so they can better understand the concepts, or they can have their students watch the video and they can do better. So that's my rationale in terms of why I take out the time to make these videos. Okay, from an individual standpoint, I'll give you a pretty good example of an incentive. A positive incentive, that's an individual example, would be, what if Mr. DeWitt decides to offer the first 2 students that shows up through my door tomorrow in class, I'm going to give each one of those students a $100 bill. What's the outcome going to be? I'm pretty sure I know what it's going to be. A lot of students, they're going to skip first period, whether they have me or not, and they're going to be lined up at my door, fighting, tussling, scratching, and they're all going to be eager to be the first one of 2 students through that door. Now, how do I know that? Because incentives are predictable, right? Now, from the other side of the spectrum, let's talk about a negative incentive regarding an individual. Using the same school setup, suppose that we're talking about students that are late repeatedly for class. On their 5th absence, they are required to go get a tardy pass that's going to result in punishment, right? It could be ISS, it could be suspension, it could be whatever it is. So that's a great example of a negative incentive, because students, they always make that face when the door is shut and they want in. The face is, don't make that face. About face, go get your tardy pass and be back within 7 minutes. I'll see you in a minute. So businesses also offer positive and negative incentives. So an example of a positive incentive offered by a business would be car insurance companies, right? The Nationwide guy or the Allstate guy, they might say that, hey, if you remain accident free for a period of 6 months, we'll mail you a $500 cash reward or check, right? Now, why would they do such a thing? What is their goal? What's their intent? What's their purpose? The reason that they would do this and offer this positive incentive is so that drivers can drive safely and remain accident free, so they don't have to pay out money to fix people's cars, right? That's the intent. On the flip side, a negative incentive regarding a business might be a business that punishes its workers for coming to work late, right? So if you show up late for your 4th time in a row and you clock in, you might get your paycheck garnished or docked. So that could be $20 taken out of your check. It could be $50 taken out of your check. You might lose sick time based on that happening. But the point is, it's a punishment to get you to act a certain way. Remember, the prediction is that you're not going to be late. You're going to come to work when you're supposed to, and you're going to clock in when you're supposed to avoid that happening. That's a negative incentive. So governments also are involved in incentives, both positive as well as negative. Now, a positive government incentive might be a firearm or gun buyback program where police stations across the country or a district or a city or town might offer their citizens cash prizes or cash exchanges for their firearms. Now, why would they do this? What's the intent? What's the rationale behind it? Well, the police station or the government, they are presuming that people will want to sell them their guns in exchange for cash, ultimately making their cities safer. Less firearms available on the streets or towns that they preside in. Now, on the flip side, government also might indulge in incentives that are negative. For instance, what if Mr. DeWitt decides to get in his car, drive in reverse down the highway, doing 125 miles an hour, blindfolded? Now, if I don't get in a wreck, presumably I'm going to get pulled over, in which I am going to receive a ticket, or I might go to jail, or I might get both, but the outcome is going to definitely be a negative outcome. Super example of a negative incentive, right? It's a reason for me not to do something. So me knowing that that could possibly be the punishment, I'll refrain from doing that. I'm not going to drive down the highway backwards blindfolded because that. All right, so to recap, there are 3 major items you need to know regarding incentives. The first is the definition. An incentive is a reason for us to either do something or not do something. The second item regarding incentives that you need to be familiar with is that incentives can be both positive or negative. And the third item that you definitely need to know regarding incentives is that incentives are predictable. We can predict what the outcome is going to be based on the incentive. All right, so I hope this video really helped you regarding incentives. Don't forget to hit that button, subscribe, like, comment below, and until next time. Peace.